The universe has been in existence for, well, according to science, over 13 billion years. If you really look at that time, 13 billion years, it means we are only here for like a blip. It's such a blip that they say the whole evolution of humanity has just happened in the last hour. If you looked at the 13 billion years as a calendar year, it has all just happened in 1 hour. That's how insignificant we are, in this space-time continuum, right? So what does this mean? That means that in 100 years, for us who are a bit older, we'll all be dead, right? And because we'll be dead, it brings out an important question. When we die, how are we living the world? And for us Africans, how are we living Africa? You know, what will be our legacy and what will be our impact? So, of course, the United States of Africa is not a new agenda. There is already the Africa 2063 agenda that I hope I can enlighten many young people that don't know about that. So fundamentally, actually the biggest point I have to make here, because the rest I'm going to say has already been repeated. Why is there stagnation? Stagnation is there because of aptness. And aptness, I told you, is the main enemy of any African progress. And I introduced in the very first video that our enemy is aptness. Aptness is that colonized mind, right? We are we have colonized minds, and those minds are contaminated, and because they are contaminated, they can easily be controlled by the Western powers. We have no hygiene. That's why you see the corruption. That's why you see us not seeing the insanity. Us producing what we don't consume and consuming what we don't produce. To just facilitate the white man's money, us accepting the white man's money instead of making our own currency, us not having a unified language. The stupid divisions in Africa have to be gone for us to be able to realize a new Africa. And that means that we need new programming. We talk about cell phones all the time as computers and computer programming. Personally, I've done some programming, but we forget that the best machine is the human brain. There's nothing smarter than this machine. And if there's anything that you can program and to give you real true magic, it's the human brain. That's a very simple statement, and it's a truth. It's a fundamental truth, and I hope you're awakened enough to understand what I'm saying. It's deep. I can't even get into it, but this is the most advanced computer that there will ever be. And all these frequencies that you see just help this computer to be able to read, because without this computer reading, there's no value on earth. So this is the computer that is reading. Even the smartphone just aids this computer to read. But what would be better if all the technology that this brain can do was put into force? And this is done through education and through understanding that programming. So I wrote in the Kenrald model, and I told you that the key to achieving the Agenda 2063 is by understanding that none of the leaders of Africa in 63 are going to be the people that are alive today. Which means that the first president of Africa, has not yet been born, literally, or is just being born. What does that mean? That's a very heavy responsibility put on all of us, the living, to immediately start treating those children like the people that are going to run Africa long after we are gone. Start paving for them a way, start protecting them like wild bulldogs, and start programming them into with the ideals and the culture and the strength that we would like that African in 63 to be. And this is the fundamental point of this video, that for us to have a United States of Africa, we have to start with the young. We have to start with the future. We have to go in the future and start programming the future. So we have to understand very quickly that none of us is going to be the first president of Africa. So it's useless for us to bicker and divide ourselves and even plan on this stupid colonized economy, that we are trying to organize this colonized economy as if we are going to be the leaders. No, the economy for the future Africa is a different economy. It's a totally new economy with the Afro as the new currency, or whatever we'll call it, with a united Africa, with Swahili as the spoken language of Africa. If you look at the 7 pillars of the Agenda 2063, it's a whole different world. It's not this world. So we need to stop trying to, improve the colonial system and think that will work. You can't build something long-lasting on something fake. You can't build a house on a stupid foundation. You have to build a house on a strong foundation. And we have 60 years to build this foundation. Understanding that we are building a foundation means that we need to let go of the old house. The old house has to totally come down. And that coming down is the sacrifice. And sacrifice is a very strong pillar of the African spirit anyway. The old house has to come down so that we can start building the new house. And building the new house is through the children, programming the children. So that's how we start. We start with the young people. And so we can say that maybe by the year 2040, the East African Federation should have its first 20-year-old, president. Even if we made it ceremonial. But we should start it in school and have those kids vote for each other and teach them true democracy, In the meantime, we can sit down and build for them a new constitution that is not biased, because none of us will ever benefit from it. They will benefit from it. So we shouldn't be biased trying to put here a curve and here a curve. We need to set up something tight, something short, precise, but tight. Something as tight as the Ma'at. Ma'at ran Egypt for thousands and thousands of years. It was just 42 laws. 42 laws. Each law taught for a year in their universities, but it taught you chemistry, science, that by the time you were, released as a master, you could do anything. You were such a useful person in society. And that was their education. But, you can do more research and see what we can learn from the old Africa. And we can also apply what we have learned with the new world, because their world, much as it was advanced, we didn't get to witness most of it, and colonialism has corrupted us. But we have the history. It's written in stone in the pyramids. We have the history. It's written in art pieces in museums all over Europe that we have to claim, by the way. That we have to claim. We have to claim back all that value. Because that's value. Those are things that are going to back the Afro. That's the wealth that's going to back the Afro currency. We have to claim it back very quickly. The elders, we have to sit down and share roles. So let's have the lawyer class set up a syllabus, set up the constitution, and set up a strong syllabus for them to study this constitution as early as possible. Let the doctors and the healthcare people also set up a way to see how to treat, to inventing medicine. The African medicine was about invention. Doctors were actually engineers because they invented new medicines. Being a doctor was inventing new medicine, finding new cures. That was a different role from the pharmacist, which is another one. Let the pharmacists also come together and be pharmacists. Now, pharmacists are the ones that see how medicine relates to curing disease, which is what doctors have been fooled in Africa to do. Doctors in Africa are actually pharmacists. They just know how to prescribe, with the pharmaceuticals sponsoring a lot of money in Africa, to educate these people so they become just good prescribers of medicine and not true doctors that are inventing new ways to make life better. Because Africa didn't need a lot of medicine. Our healthcare was already advanced and the knowledge had been disseminated into the population. We knew mushrooms. We knew, a couple of herbs. The marijuanas that have been banned to help the pharmaceuticals make money, to stop you from, growing your own medicine at home. We knew all these. These are fundamental in the African culture. It's not new. Everybody knew the use of marijuana. Everybody knew the use of mushrooms. Everybody knew these uses. Every African that was born, even later after colonialization, so long as you have time to go, you had time to go to the village, um, you know that we had herbs and these herbs work, and you know what these herbs do, and you know that they are better. We know these juices that came from these leaves, mango tree leaves, oranges and lemons mixed together. We know the concoctions that you would drink, and people would never suffer from malaria. We got immunizations through these herbs. Where did all that go? That wasn't even a knowledge kept for the doctors. It was common knowledge. So imagine what an African doctor had in terms of medicine. That's why when the white man came here and they tested our medicine, they quickly called our doctors herbalists, and they called them witches because they thought the medicine was magic. I told you in the book that the African had started communicating with the world, with nature, literally communicating with nature, like exchanging knowledge with nature, with plants. This is how far we had advanced. In ancient Africa, AI was the human being. The greatest machine was the human mind. And nothing would ever beat the human mind. And today, you don't believe in yourself so much that you're creating a robot and worshipping it to be better than you. That's not the future Africa. But these are the things that we know that we have to build in these young children, and that's the role of the elders. Be pit bulls, and protect the young children. Instill these values. Give them as much knowledge as possible. Protect them from the tainted contamination that we have been exposed to, and kind of give them a new lens, a new frequency to see the world. You know, many sciences and scientists tell you about how our world is sort of a hologram, and we can only see it through the frequency that we see it through. But given different catalysts, different frequencies, you might be able to see a different world. That's why they say two people are born in the same world, but they see different things. That's why I talk about trying to stop you from seeing things through the eyes of a flea and seeing things through the eyes of the lion. The lion and the flea all look at the same dead buffalo. But while the lion drinks the juicy, fat places, the flea is looking for the rotten places. You know, and that's the difference between the two. Africa should be the lion. So by doing this, we plant a tree. We plant a tree, and we plant a tree, understanding well that we are not going to eat of the fruit. So we are taking Africa back to Eden, whereby we are planting the tree and saying that don't touch the forbidden fruit. It's not for you. And when the time is right, the owners of the fruit will eat the fruit. And through eating that fruit, they will have eternal life. So our job is to plant the tree in the middle of the garden, but never to eat that fruit. The problem with Africa today, the problem why we have failed to develop is because you're eating the forbidden fruit. The fruit is not yours to eat. So every politician is coming to these meetings in the in the African Union talking about, Africa, but they think they need to be the first presidents of Africa. As the young people, we're not even involved. And yet we are the fathers of literally tomorrow, in the next 10, 20 years, we're going to be the people running Africa. But we still have 80-year-olds that have become victims to the trappings of that empowerment, that have become corrupt, embezzled, and won't leave the seats, that are signing backdoor deals with the Western world to sell the continent of Africa, that keep dividing and destroying us, that keep selling ideas of tribalism to the young children, that are giving young children, 10-year-olds, guns to become rebels and to teach them murderous ways, giving small people big toys. I told you in the previous episode of how Africans that had refused any advancement in technology and used weapons just to hunt were given guns, and all of a sudden, small grievances became vendettas to divide Africa and promote scarcity and that evil trade that you're practicing today. So We need to plant the tree in the middle of the garden, but know that we are not the ones to devour of the fruit. In fact, the law of Africa is do not touch the forbidden fruit. Every single African henceforth should be a tree planter. And how do you plant the tree? You plant the tree for the future, which means you need to be infinite thinkers. This is one of the key principles of our SAR mentality, the Kenrald Experience SAR mentality. Infinite thinking. That's planting the tree. Everywhere you go, you should be planting the tree. You should be seeking for knowledge and planting it into the young Africans. True, unbiased, sincere, pure knowledge. Resurrecting knowledge. Salvation. The truth. The light. So we'll plant the tree. That's our role. This generation and the next 2 generations, if I count the 25-year generation, or the next 5 generations if I count the 10-year generation. Our job is to plant the tree. And by say 2040, we can start testing out with the first 20-year-old ceremonial president. Because we are planting a tree, and because empowerment comes through knowledge, definitely the first and most important rule of thumb would be build a new. Remember, we are crushing anything old and building new. So we need to build a new African syllabus for this future. So we need to sit down and build for them a new syllabus, African, in Swahili. Teach them the laws of Africa, the laws, the constitution of the new Africa. And teach them the infinite, transcendent, self-reliant, and sustainable ideal and agenda as our definite aim. Just show them the path, because we don't even know what we want to achieve, but we know the path we want to keep moving. And when we keep moving towards that path, we will find heaven. This is the old story of Africa. Of in death, while pursuing the light, you will find resurrection. That pursue the light to your last breath. And after that last breath, you will resurrect. The current breed of Africans, we have been sinners. That's why we die and we don't resurrect. That's why we don't have living heroes. Our living heroes are our brothers in the diaspora, the Americans. And these are also enslaved people. The Africans, we are the people with the culture. I hear Black Americans talking about culture. But the truth is that they have no culture. Their culture is here in Africa. But we have forgotten their culture to tell them. We know it, but we have forgotten it. We have been corrupted by the education to worship the white man culture. And so the slaves look at us. I mean, the brothers in the diaspora, forgive me, the R400 look at us and they're like, it's a white man culture. And so they stay away. Because what they expect from us is that Wakanda culture, that Zamunda culture, the names they call us. But it's deeper, because for us we know the real culture. The Bazibiti culture, the Ganda culture, the Kitara culture, the Igbo, Biafran culture. In the north, the Egyptian culture. This is the culture that we need in the books and find a common ground. Because you see, the culture is God the Father. The culture is the unification, is the spirit of Africa. And so, to kill the spirit of Africa, it was easy as killing the culture. When you kill the culture, you've killed the spirit of Africa. But killing the culture is not killing Africa. Because the African spirit is a resurrecting spirit. And thank God that we've been built in that spirit. There's a nice story of an eagle that was fed on chicken mash. And the captors, thought that after